And to start by the first question, of course, what are some of the most interesting shifts or trends that we are seeing in state-level voting behavior compared to previous elections?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for the invitation. My observation is the significant shifts that happened in this election. If you can simply see in the state of Michigan, for example, the Muslim community shifted from supporting traditionally the Democrats to now supporting a Republican candidate, President Trump. At least some percentage of them. In the past, the majority used to give Democrat. This shift can be very significant in this election, particularly when we hear some news that they are close to one another in the results. The other factor is in Pennsylvania. The Jewish groups, or some of them at least, significant ones, shifted from supporting the traditional Democrats to Trump. Which is significant in my opinion because Pennsylvania is very close election and is swing state, and this move, which was the reason for it, as they said, was as they described it, the moral aspects of the Republican Party compared to Kamala Harris and its groups. There is also a shift, in my opinion, in the young generations, particularly the girls, when they saw how men can compete with the athletes, the female athletes, and they can prevent them from achieving their dreams in sports by competing with them, and how Kamala Harris and the Democrats are probably supporting this direction while Trump is clearly against it. So I see even in the young generation group, particularly the girls, there is a significant shift that can be pivotal in a close election like this one. So I see also with the statistical data on the Facebook and on the Twitter and the Instagrams, the number of followers, for example, of President Trump on Twitter is 90 millions compared to 21 millions for Kamala Harris. The likes per page, if you analyzed it, and there is many researches done about this, the likes per page for President Trump per post are approximately 300 and more than 300,000 likes per post. But compared to Kamala Harris, it's only 30,000 likes per post, which is very significant issue that I believe, and then when you add all these factors together, plus adding some major Democratic figures like Robert Kennedy to the equation, and he moved to support Trump, I believe all of this together can probably give significant support and can make the probability that Trump wins this election is more likely.
Actually, Dr. Hamid, these are very interesting shifts that you are telling us now, but how have recent policy changes in states like Georgia and Texas impact voter turnout or access today?
Can you kindly just rephrase the question? I just missed it with the voice.
We're talking about the recent policy changes in states like Georgia and Texas. How did such recent policy changes impact the voter turnout or access today?
I think they are trying now in Georgia and Texas to ensure that the elections are accurate, because they don't want the hassle that happened in the previous election with too much delays. So I believe their policies in general are in the direction of making the election results more clear, quicker, more accurate, so that none of the candidates can complain at the end and delay the display of the results.
Okay, so how are states handling the challenges of mail-in and early voting, especially in areas with a history of delays?
The states actually are trying to do the traditional things, but I think President Trump will insist this time that by 6 p.m. that no result should be added to this, They don't want to repeat the previous experience, and I'm afraid this can go to court, because legally they should stop the election at certain time. So extending it can open the gate for a lot of legal battles to come. So I think President Trump insisted on this, that the time should be accurate in ending any votes. So I believe this time the states have to abide with this. Otherwise, we will see significant legal troubles in the next period of time.
Okay. Have there been any notable reports of misinformation campaigns targeted at certain states or regions today?
The reports are very limited, and they all come from media in general rather than official reports, because officially they are not even allowed to speak about the results before they start the official calculation. There is some preliminary observations by some people in the media, but we cannot really rely on this. It seems that Trump campaign believes that the results are significant. Maybe they go by themselves and they ask people, like the exit polls, when people go out after the elections, they ask them and they reach the conclusion that the results are in the direction of President Trump. But we cannot say for sure that this is the situation until the states and the governments there officially start the calculation and release some official statements.
Can you give us an overview of the key battleground states in this election and how crucial they are?
The key battleground states include, of course, Iowa and Ohio and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, and all these states are swing states. Traditionally speaking, if they went Republicans, the Republican candidate wins. If they win Democrat, the Democratic candidate win. But in my personal analysis, this rule is not very valid this year, will not be very valid. The changes that happen in the social media and the new generations and their involvement in politics will probably change this traditional understanding of swing states. Like Florida, for example, can start to shift from here to there. And I will not be surprised if some of the states turn it completely from one side to the other compared to the previous traditional, for example, voting system. Like what happened in Virginia, for example. In Virginia, the governor of Virginia was traditionally for decades Democrat. Just last election for a governor, they moved completely 180 degrees. They chose a Republican because of the issue with the schools and bathrooms and allowing boys to go into girls' bathrooms, and the school education that allows over-sexualization of the kids. So people and parents get very angry, and they voted for the Republican, and a Republican governor won here in Virginia. I believe this can be repeated at a bigger level and much bigger scale with the president this time.
Well, Dr. Hamid, since you mentioned the Virginia incident, are we seeing any surprises in, I would say, traditionally safe states, either for the Democrats or for the Republicans, in light of the latest polls from Iowa?
Iowa is by far considered the most critical, one of the most critical states, at least. I can't see so far any significant evidence that can tell us where Iowa is going. It's one of the states that still, until this moment, it's very unclear. I can say Michigan, for example, the Muslim shift can be significant. Pennsylvania, the Jewish shift can be significant. But with Iowa, there is nothing that I can say it is so powerful that can make us predict the results.
Well, that was the political researcher, Dr. Tawfiq Hamid. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us here on Q News. Moving on.